Dave from Dave's Glory Shopworks here, and on this episode we are going to be doing part 16 of our cheap 440 build. Super riveting, exciting. I get it. I love it, right? I know you just gets you right where you want to be. Alright, so we are going to, if you remember, we've installed our crankshaft, we've checked our crankshaft end play, crankshaft rotates beautifully and free, we've installed cam bearings, checked the camshaft line bore, it's beautiful. Now we've also installed our piston rings, and we are now at the point where we can install our pistons. We've talked about our orientation of our pistons. We might go over that briefly while we're doing this, but here we go. We've got our piston and rod assemblies, got our rod bolts, our bearing shells, our brand new bearings, and we've got our universal piston ring compressor tool, some oil for lubrication for assembly, and we have our installation tool to not mark the crankshaft. There are many other ways to do that, not a big deal. The only thing is you don't want to nick the crank. But alright, I'm going to set you up here and I'm going to try to give you the full show on installing pistons in an engine. Whether you've done it 100 times or never done it at all, this should help. Alright, here goes. Our engine block is as follows: cylinders 1, 3, 5, 7 down the driver's side, cylinders 2, 4, 6, 8 down the passenger side. We are going to just grab pistons, and we're grabbing piston number 4. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to this. So piston number 4, we take our rod bearing shells. We be careful, we don't want to just push our thumbprints into the rod bearing shell or our fingerprints or get them all gritty. I've wiped this out. I've wiped the back side of the bearing. We don't want any dirt to get in between them because it can cause hard spots. We just roll the bearing in place after lining it up with the tab, and then we take our other half and same thing. We line up the tab, and holding your thumb against the edge, push down with your finger, and then you can just kind of center it up so you see that they're even on both sides. Done. From there, we want some lubrication on our rod bearings. You don't got to go to town with this stuff either. A simple thin wipe and you're good to go. No point in overloading it. At the end of the day, it's going to mix in with the oil and end up in the pan, and you're going to change the oil out after you do your break-in period of your camshaft. Okay, he's ready. Next, take our piston, take our oil can, squirt some oil onto the piston, on the skirt, on the rings. Boom. Just run it around, dab it around. You want everything good and lubricated up. Both sides of the skirts. Good to go. These guys are cheap. They come in several sizes, pretty much to fit all the pistons you want. There's a light little bit of lubrication in it already. You wipe it out a bit, make sure there's no dirt or anything in it. There is an orientation. There's these little nubs. You can kind of see they go on the bottom. They stop this from going into the cylinder with the piston rings. So all you do, just put it around. I like to leave part of the skirt exposed. Reason being, that will help center everything up in the piston bore, or the cylinder as it were. Tighten it up. Don't cut yourself because you can. This thing is just thin metal. You want to straighten it out. Make sure the overlap isn't all out of whack, because the straighter it is, the better it'll go down. There you go. You just tighten it till it snugs up. You don't want it to be blazingly bleeding tight, or else you won't be able to drive the piston down and you'll hesitate and it'll stop everything from happening nice. Take your hammer, Use a wooden hammer if you got it. Use a fiberglass, rubber, whatever. You're using the end of the hammer so you're not going to mar the surface of the piston. And from there, remember I said your orientation on your eyes, your eyebrows in your piston, your relief cuts as it were, that's important. Then you've also got these two. These will mark a crankshaft super fast. Crankshafts are actually soft. And I'm using this guy. I like them. Super easy. And it's plastic, so it's not going to mar anything up. I take it. Oh, wrong cylinder. Okay, you can see that I've got it sitting around the crankshaft journal, so the plastic won't mar the surface. And then what we can do is we put our studs in the two holes in the end of it, and I've got my piston rotated the wrong way. Ta-da! There we have it. Okay, I got those lined up. Push them on. And now, if you can see, my piston, the studs on my rods are not going to mark my crankshaft. There's just no way. And we slide it down, get our skirt into position. Done. I did lubricate the cylinder walls, and lubricating the piston rings and everything will take care of that. Like, we don't have to overload with oil here. We just need to make sure it's going to go down nice. Alright, from there, you want to take your hammer and just tap. You want to take your hammer and just tap the edges of your tool. You want it firmly down in place. Holding pressure on it with your hand, start driving the piston down. And already I can tell you that I let it lift, and I might have to pull it out and do it again. Nope. There are better tools for this. Alright, there's our first issue. As you can see, our piston ring did not stay in the bore with the tool. So what I like to do at this point is I just, because it's going to happen, you're not going to get them all down nice and smooth first try every try. I just like to push it back up a little bit before exposing the second ring. Take the tool, push it against the engine block to keep everything nice and smooth while you wind it down. You've caught the piston ring now. You're nice and happy. It looks good. We're still going to tap it down. Oops, and now we're going into the bore. We don't want that. There we go. Now, firmly holding it down, finish installing. There you go, it's in. So I don't know if you can see under here, I hope you can, but here's the tool. It's guided around the crankshaft, and you can just take your hammer and gently tap that piston all the way down. And gently, there. I just gently tapped it down till it stopped moving, gave it a couple more little taps, and I know it's fully seated in place. From there, take that guy off. We grab a bearing cap. Remember I said the orientation on the tab on the bearing cap needs to go with the orientation on the tab on the rod. If you ever get them mixed up, then you just look at the tab and you'll put it together correctly. Slide your rod in place and hope it stays because you forgot to bring the nuts over from the bench. Now, these are not factory studs and nuts. These are ARP fasteners. They just happen to come with the piston and rod assemblies that I got. So we're going to use them. If these are factory, I would torque them, I believe it's 35 foot-pounds. These aftermarket ones go to 50 foot-pounds. There's always a spec for them. Sometimes you just got to check on their website. Little tip for you. If you're like me and you use your tools for all kinds of things, you want to clean out your socket before you use them on internal engine components. Sockets, wrenches, box ends, open ends, you name it. Make sure that guy's clean, nothing comes off. Then you're not going to get any transfer onto your rod bolts. Take your rod, nut and stud, snug down one. Snug down the other. Torque them. And I always double check. And then I'm happy. Alright guys, that's going to conclude this episode. Stay tuned. We're getting pretty close to getting this engine wrapped up. Pretty excited. Alright, please like, subscribe, and share, and thank you very much.